Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have Miss Charlotte Murray on my channel today to talk about autism, because it is National Autism Awareness Month. Welcome, Miss Charlotte. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
Fine.
Good,
All right.
good.
Can you tell us your definition of autism?
I would say my definition of autism is someone who is socially, I don't want to say not together, but someone who is not as sociable, not as outgoing, someone who may have some issues with communicating, someone who may have issues with, social activities as far as being around other people, communicating with other people, letting people know their feelings, what they may be going through or trying to communicate. Someone who may have sensory issues where a lot of things may um, um, a lot of things may be overloading for them as far as sound, as far as touch, all the sensory things. Someone who is socially introverted, but not because they want to be, but because there is an imbalance somewhere. Because you have people who are not autistic that don't like to be social, that are introverts. But when we talk about those people with autism, I believe it is something that's not fully connecting to give them the ability to decide whether or not they want to react or not react with people and things of that nature. So, that's kind of how I look at it. Someone who's just trying to fit the puzzles together, but can't quite do that. So, yeah.
Now, what is high functioning autism, or is that the same thing?
From what I have learned with high functioning or Asperger's, as I believe that it is called, someone who is extremely high functioning, someone who still has maybe those social barriers, but are able to maybe go above and beyond what we normally see with autistic people. Someone who may be like, you may have someone who can look at a drawing, hypothetically say, and can from memory draw it, or someone who can grasp the idea of, let's say, computer, working with a computer or something like that. I think it's someone who is just a little more, much more, not a little more, much more high functioning than what we see with people that we normally see with autism. I am not like really familiar with Asperger's. I do know that it is supposed to be someone that's like really highly intelligent, you know, but that's what I would, if I had to kind of get an understanding for myself, that's how I would see it. Like someone who was just like extremely intelligent, in that although they may still exhibit the characteristics of wanting to socially be alone and isolated, they are still able to do things that even maybe you and I, can't do. So that's how I would perceive that.
Okay. What are some of the common myths about autism?
Well, from my experience and from my experience with my daughter, I know one of the biggest myths to me that has been debunked was the fact that um, she is not sociable. You know, a lot of people say, like I was just saying, a lot of people with autism aren't sociable. They tend to be in their own space, their own world, per se, if you will. Um, you know, and they tend to function better alone. um, I've seen with my daughter that she can kind of coexist in both worlds. She still has her moments where, you know, she wants to be alone. There are times when she could be downstairs with us and watching TV and you know, engaging with the family. And then the next thing she'll say, Mommy, I'm going upstairs. And she'll go upstairs and she'll go to her room and she'll have that alone time, you know, I guess that downtime for her. But but that's one of the things that I would say that is a myth, that not all people with autism are socially deficit, where they don't want to be engaged with someone, where they don't want to be around other people. That's the biggest one I've seen just from the experience with my daughter. Another one is that, you know, um, she loves to be affectionate. She loves to, you know, kiss me and hug me along with her other, you know, siblings and things of that nature. She's very affectionate, very caring and loving. And so I've just seen like the opposite of what um, I learned about it when she was first diagnosed. Because when she was first diagnosed, you know, that was some of the things that I was seeing, that, you know, you may never hear her call your name, you may never be able to hug her and touch her. Um, you know, she may always want to be isolated in her own space, in her own world. And I was like, oh wow, really? And I just thank God that that wasn't my story. That is some people's stories, but it wasn't my story. So I'm grateful for that. That I didn't experience that with her, and so you know, those are some of the things that I think, you know, it's just pretty much a, you know, everyone is different. Everyone you know, have their different experiences. Every child or person with autism, you know, is different. And one child may be a certain way, and you know this as well as I do. One child may be a certain way, and one may not be. So it's an individual thing, and pretty much um, you get what you get from the person that you know, interact with. And so those are some of the things that I have personally been able to say. Um, on my end wasn't true, or it was a myth that I was able to, like I said, have debunked for me.
Okay. What are some of the therapies used for autistic children?
So there are several therapies that are used, and once again, it's based on what your child's needs are. You could get speech therapy. You could get occupational therapy. You could get physical therapy. You know, once again, it's based off of the need of the child. For my situation and my daughter, I was, when she was first diagnosed, she was getting the speech therapy and the, you know, the physical therapy. Um, you know, and even now, still in school, she's in the 10th grade, and she still gets those various therapies, you know, to continue to help her with her speech and to continue to help her to communicate. And it may not just be communicating in talking to me or her classmate, you know, communicating, you know, by expressing yourself in words, you know, writing sentences, describing something that you see, being able to, you know, effectively write that, you know, and so, you know, those are some of the things that she gets with that. And then, you know, the physical therapy, which is pretty much self-explanatory movement and things of that nature. And so, it all depends on the need of the child at the time. And then once they get into school and things of that nature, then, sitting down with the teacher, coming up with an IEP where the IEP is pretty much a roadmap, a blueprint, if you will, of what goals we want to have this child meet or master by the end of the school year. And so those are given each year for the child once again to see, okay, we want her, she may be reading on let's say, third grade proficiency level. By the time that she reaches the midpoint of school, we hope that she's at a fourth grade. And then by the end of the year, hopefully she's at a fifth grade. And so your IEP pretty much dictates the goals that we want to meet, where the student is, where you want them to be by the end of the time you want them to master it. So, it's all pretty much, once again, based off of that student and what the needs of that child are.
What types of medication are used to treat autistic children?
I am not sure about that. I've never had to have medication personally for my child, so I'm not sure. I'm quite sure, however, that there are various medications to help alleviate some of the things that they go through, like the meltdowns and the aggression that some autistic children go through. So I'm sure that they have medications to help alleviate those things and to calm them. But I am personally not familiar with it because I've never had to go that route with my daughter on medication, and I'm glad that I didn't have to.
Are there dietary interventions that will help autistic children?
Well, they have a lot of things that parents try to like the gluten-free things like that, that a lot of parents will use to put in the child's diet because it's supposed to do, I guess maybe because it's healthier or whatever. But personally, for me, I haven't really had to experience anything that that my daughter like she didn't have any restrictions. There are some restrictions that some of the kids have. And you may hear some parents saying they use more of this particular ingredient or this type of food as opposed to this type of food because of the ingredients that are in some foods, and it's supposed to, with autistic children or some autistic children, it may be like an imbalance that can cause several other reactions. Excuse me, if they eat it or if they consume it, and so. You do. I have seen stories like that. Just through kind of like just reading and coming across things where some parents are really really big on what type of foods they feed their child, and how they prepare the food for their child, what type of ingredients are in the foods for their child. Some parents don't like to do any processed food for their child. So, it's kind of once again that whole individual thing. I haven't had to have any restrictions for Summer. That's my daughter's name. I haven't had to have any restrictions for her since she, was a child. There may have been something that she preferred more than other things. But I haven't had to say or have things taken away because it may have affected her in some sort. I haven't had to do that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, does autism usually qualify as a disability according to the Social Security Administration?
Yes, it is a disability according to the Social Security Administration. Um, in order to get benefits for your child does have to be diagnosed. You can't just go in and say my child has autism and you get a check. They do have to be diagnosed, and once they are diagnosed, then they are eligible for Social Security benefits. Um, and so, yes, it is considered a disability in order for them to receive funds.
Okay, earlier you said, was trying to say that the IEP was a roadmap.
Hmm.
Can you go in a little bit more detail to let them know exactly what an IEP is?
Okay, so it is pretty much it's an educational document that states where your child uh, currently is, or where your child, uh, the level of your child currently. And it has goals that they set. So they will set goals in um, different subjects in school. So they'll set a goal, for your math, they'll set a goal for, your English or, what have you. And they set it based off of percentages. So, at the end of, let's say, at the end of the school year, as I was saying earlier, the teachers and myself,
Mhm.
because everyone is involved in the IEP process. You have your teachers, your main teacher actually, because if your child is in a classroom, IEP support, excuse me, an autistic support classroom, they're just in that classroom all day.
Yeah.
They won't change to different classes, especially in high school. They won't change to the different classes like the traditional students do in high school. They change to different subjects. No, with the autistic support class, they stay in that classroom every day. So the teacher, you have the teacher, then you have the various therapists who service the child, and then the parent. And we all come together and we will look at the goals that we want to see that child reach in whatever particular subject. And each quarter, um, they'll have whether the goal was met or whether they need to continue with that particular goal. And so the IEP, as I was stating, is pretty much it's a blueprint, it's a roadmap. This is what we want this child to um, progress in by the end of the school year. Um, and with the help of the team, which are, the therapist and the teacher and the parent. Hopefully, that child will accomplish those goals that has been set for them. And it's a document. Once again, that is done each year, and you can come in and you sit down, and as a parent, you have the right to talk about
Mhm.
or to suggest or to say, hey, my child, when they're in school, I think they would benefit from having a TSS worker, which is a person that comes into the classroom with them and is there with them all day. And some parents may think that'll benefit their child because, maybe their child may be um, a little more uh, ne- not needy, but but would benefit a little more from someone that is there with them, maybe making them feel more comfortable, or just being there. And so, as a parent, you can suggest that in the IEP. And so sometimes parents may think that, whatever the teacher and the therapist recommend, that they have to be in agreement with that, or they don't have a say so. And you do as a parent. Um, when my daughter was going to a school here called the Center for Autism, which is a wonderful, wonderful school, we had each parent was given a parent advocate, and that was a really, really wonderful tool because it actually helped the parent um, understand more of the process. When you go into certain meetings, you have people that are sitting there that are more knowledgeable in the area than you, that know a little more, a lot more than you, and they use certain jargon, and you're like, oh my goodness, and you start to feel overwhelmed, like I don't know what the heck they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like what the heck, And so, you know, uh, with me and having a parent advocate, it kind of helped buffer it for me to understand more of what my rights were and what I could request and what I could say. Well, I don't know if I agree with that, and be able to say that without feeling like I can't say that. Once again, the IEP is just that document that will list everything that you think your child needs to be a better student, and it does that for you within the school system. So it's a really important document for those parents that may not have someone that can go in with them while they're doing the IEP, while they're having the IEP developed and things. They have agencies, I'm sure, within other cities too, that have parent advocates or that have advocates that could come in with them and be that support for them. So if they are listening to something that may be a little, maybe a roadblock, or they really don't understand, you have someone there, to kind of support you and guide you along the way.
Okay. Describe respite care.
Um, Respite care, from what I understand, is someone where your child can, where the parent actually can get um, kind of a break, if you will, or a support, if you will. And so the respite care is for the child, for someone to kind of be a, a caretaker, if you someone to watch or someone to help um, with um, the child. Okay, so hypothetically, if I needed someone to help me because I have other little ones, and I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm feeling like it's a lot, then they have places, or they have agencies that can not only help me but can also be a support and stuff to the child as well too. Someone who can um, you know take them to, this is what I understand from respite care here, that can take them to like different functions, or different events, or just take them to give the parent a breather, if you will. So that's the way I understand it here with the respite care. I don't know if that's how it works all everywhere else, but that's how I understand it. I've never used respite care before. I've never actually used really any services like that um, outside of her school. I do know because she is about to, well, in a couple of years, graduate, that she will be transitioning from the um, school age to the adult age. And so they have various agencies that will allow her to partake in, various activities at their site. They have agencies where they even let them get little jobs and things that they can go to. Um, and so, once again, through um, the support of the school, the teachers, and things like that, the therapists, you can begin that process of talking to them on how um, or what will be beneficial as the child graduates. What are some services that they think would be beneficial for the child when they graduate, so they can keep for one, the routine of doing something, and then just getting those additional services that will help them now to be productive adults as opposed to productive teens. So that is the way I understand it.
Okay. Okay. Describe a typical day at your house.
Well, a typical day at my house, um, I normally, well, before this pandemic, and when I was working, I would, I get up first in the morning, and get myself together, and then I would get my daughter, excuse me, Summer, up ready for school. We will wait for the bus that she would go to school. Once she comes home, she and I, if she has homework, um, she and I would do her homework. Most of the time, her homework she does independently. She doesn't really need my help. So I'm just kind of like a guidance there, kind of just watching her. Um, and once she finishes that, she pretty much, I pretty much just let her have her time to, do her thing. And her thing is either the computer or the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tend the TV. She kind of like just took over both of them. To be honest, like the TV, she just turns on her Peppa Pig and all her little cartoons, and she'll watch that all day if I let her. So I have to kind of give her time limits, because if I let her stay on the computer all day, she will. And if I let her stay on the TV all day, she will. Um, and so that was kind of a typical day when we were in school. Now that we're home with everything that's going on, she pretty much she'll get up in the morning, she'll wash herself up. She'll come downstairs. If I'm not cooking breakfast, she'll make her own bowl of cereal. Um, After she fixes her bowl of cereal, she'll go into the living room and turn on her cartoons or whatever she likes. She'll watch that for a while, and then we'll do some type of instruction, something taking her away from the TV. That can be some math or some English, just something to kind of, give her that structure of school still. And then after we do that for about an hour and a half, because I don't give it to her in too much doses, because she will be like, she may not say it or know how to say it, but I'll know that she's ready to stop. So I try not to give it to her in, too much doses. So, we'll take a break, and, she'll watch TV, and, then we may come back, and she'll read to myself or to my daughter. And then after that, once again, it's kind of like her time. And, that could be downstairs with us, or there'll be times when she doesn't want to be around us. And she'll go upstairs in her room, and she'll, be up there watching TV, or, playing with her dolls or something like that. Um, and so that's kind of how, we do it. It's real simple. Nothing, you know, I'm once again, I can't say this enough how fortunate and blessed I am because she's a real simple kid. You know, if she has the TV or the computer, I have no worries from her. I have no issues or problems from her. And so, you know, she's pretty much um, a simple a simple kid who can entertain herself, you know, if need be. You know, there are times when, you know, she's real joyful, real playful. Um, and then there are times when, you know, she just is melancholy and, you know, she's just in her own space, you know. So that's kind of like, that's pretty much how it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the tips for parents with kids that has autism?
Um, you know, whatever it is that gives your child um, joy and some type of normalcy, something that um, they it's pretty much whatever you think helps your child to be as um, what's the word? Whatever gives them pretty much whatever gives them peace, whatever gives them joy, you want to kind of tap into that, and you want to kind of know the behaviors and the moods of them. Um, you know, it's okay to, um, as parents, you know, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel like you don't know, you know, what to do. You know, it's okay to feel, you know, like it can be too much. And if that happens, you know, having support systems in place where you can talk to someone, where you can, you know, have an outlet, you know, for those things. And with your child, you know, just be there for them to like you would any kid, like you would your child if they have autism or not. You know, you want them to be the best version of themselves. And what does that take for them to be the best version of themselves? You know, and whatever that is, we do. You know, if that's advocating for them, if that's making sure that, you know, the services that they're supposed to have, they have. Um, you know, just, you know, making sure that you are doing everything and anything to give them a fair shot. Because we know with having autism or any disability, you know, that's already uh, um, a barrier that they're going to have to face when they are out here, you know, in the real world. And so, you know, just be there and be that, you know, that support for them, but also take care of yourself. You know, take care of yourself. You know, like I said earlier, don't feel guilty um, about taking time for yourself. You know, don't feel guilty about needing time alone, needing to get out. You know, I used to feel guilty sometimes if I went out or if I went out and bought myself something, but then come back with something for, you know, not just my daughter, you know, summer for my other kids. And, you know, sometimes, and I had to tell myself, you know, sometimes it's okay to do something for me. It's okay to do something for me um, to make me happy or to make me feel good. Because then when I'm in a good space, then I'm able to give what I need to my kids. You know, so for those parents with with autistic children, just, you know, just to continue to do your best to advocate for them, to do the best that you can, to rear them, to help, you know, to help raise them the best way you can. Questions that you need answered, ask. If you need help, ask for it. Don't feel ashamed to ask for it. If you don't understand, ask for clarity. Um, if there is something that you think that will work better for your child while they're in school, suggest it to the teacher because you know your kid much better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what works for them. And so, just it's just being that voice for them. That's my I think my biggest tip would be their voice and don't be afraid to be their voice.
Okay.
You know.
Well, I would like to thank you for coming in today and talking to
Oh,
us about it.
yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to add before we close?
Well, thank you for having me on your show. I hope that I was able to give some information that someone could use, or maybe go and research if they are if they want more information on some of the things that I wasn't too familiar with. Hopefully, they'll get the initiative to say, I think I want to know a little more about that. Let me go and learn more. So I hope that I'll get, you'll get some people to do that. And just once again, you know, we don't we don't know what cards we're going to be dealt. When we have our children, we don't know how they're going to be born, if they're going to be born with disabilities, if they're not going to be born with disabilities. And so, you know, my thing is they're all special. They're
Mhm.
all God's children, whether they are autistic or not. Um, I am totally blessed and would not have it any other way um, with my daughter. And so I just thank God that He allowed me to be her parent. Um, and so, I'm still learning a lot. She's 15. She'll be 16 in May. It's still things that I'm even still learning about autism with research and stuff. Things always changing, so I'm still learning a lot too. So just never stop learning. Always want to know, you know, um, information, and you know, that's that.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in today, Miss Charlotte. I really appreciate your insight on this issue, on learning more about autism and your child.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and you be safe. You and your family, you
Thank you.
guys be safe out here in this madness going on. Please be safe. And, thank you once again for having me.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.
All right. Thank you.